similarity between Henry Ford's, David Sanders, Kiran Majumdar Shaw, and Mr. Narayan Murthy? Hello, champions. This is Ani, your leadership coach. I work with your minds to create the best results for yourself. If you're someone who has already spent 20 years in your current career, or if you're someone who is somewhere around 30, 35 and you're planning the next 10 years in your career, this video is going to be extremely important as I'm going to share 3 strategies that is going to mind blow you forever. These 3 strategies was always there with you. You never had a coach that could help you access the tools and resources that is there within you. Stay with me for the rest of this video to learn about these 3 things that could make a significant difference in your career. If you have spent 20 years in your current career, then there is a high chance that you have solved at least 1,000 problems. You don't agree? Let me make it simple for you. It's a conservative estimate of you solving one problem every 1.5 months. I am sure you've done much more than that. Isn't that true? So what differentiates an average performer from a high performer? An average performer will keep doing his or her work and will try to avoid problem as much as possible so that they don't have to spend more time solving the problem. Whereas high performers will attract problems towards them. They'll make sure that they are in the areas where problems are. High performers will have an open arm policy in attracting problems. They will always position themselves strategically in areas which is most problematic. An average performer will solve the problem and forget about it. A high performer who has set his goals really high is going to not only attract the problem, they will solve the problem and reuse the solutions. An average performer will not only forget the problem, will also start cribbing about the problem in smoking zones, in coffee table chats, or wherever they get together. And they will attract more people who will come together and they'll also talk about their problems. And did you ever find yourself in these discussions? An high performer will not just solve a problem, but they are going to reuse it. Now, they're not just going to reuse it. If a high performer has an entrepreneurial mindset, they will solve the problem, reuse it, solve more problem, reuse more solutions, and they're going to sell the solutions. And that's exactly what this video is all about. So if you have spent 20 years in a particular subject, by now you would have learned about all kinds of problems that may occur in the industry that you work in. It's just that you never paid enough attention to look at the patterns between those problems. So I invite you to quickly do this exercise with me. Can I ask you to take a deep breath and relax into it? And you do that so that you are able to think better, you are calm and patient, you are able to use your natural faculties in the best way possible. I want you to take one deep breath. Inhale as much as you can. Hold the air within you for a few seconds. 2, 1, and then exhale and relax into it. I want you to take another deep breath, and this time a little more deep than the previous time, and hold it for a few more seconds, and then slowly, very slowly exhale and relax into it. For one last time, I want you to take another deep breath. Take a very deep breath. Hold on to your breath for a few more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And very slowly exhale and relax into it. I believe now you are in a very calm position to think about your career in the next 10 years. But to do that, let's retrospectively look at your career in the next few seconds. I want you to go back and think of your core skills. Which skills did you always have? Was it communication? Was it leadership? Was it managing people? Was it manufacturing? Was it very technical? If it is technical? Was there a particular tech stack that you were very strong on? What excited you the most in amongst all these skills? And I want you to write this down as you think of these skills. Then I want you to think of all the kind of problems that you solved in the last 20 years. Were they mostly people problem? Were they process oriented problem? Were there technical problems? Were there any problem that you uniquely resolved and that pops up on the top of your head when you think about your career in the past? I want you to write all of this down. So, number one, I want you to write down your core skills that you have honed all these years. Number two, I want you to write down the pattern of problems that you've solved. If you think of all the problems that you've solved, what comes up? Is there a pattern that you see? And then finally, I want you to think of if there is any particular problem that stands out, that you have uniquely contributed to a significant extent that helped you solve the problem. Once you have made notes of all of these, the next step is I want you to think of that particular problem and think of that situation. If you close your eyes, can you go back to that picture? Can you think of the picture as if the problem is happening to you right now in this moment? Now I want you to step into that picture and think of who else were there when the problem happened and who all did get impacted. I want you to think very vividly and very descriptively what else happened during that situation. I want you to think of who were there, what else happened, how did they feel when the problem happened, and how did the problem impact them. What would have happened if the problem would have not been solved? What would have been the biggest impact to the industry? What would have happened to their personal life, their financial health, or whatever comes to your mind? Think about the problem in a very, very descriptive way. Now I want you to write this down as you think of that situation. I want you to write down who were there, what was the problem, what was the pattern, what was the impact, what would have happened if you had never solved it. And then finally, I want you to mention what is it that you have done that solved the problem for them. And when you solved the problem, what was the actual impact? Were there any actual impact to the financials of the organization? What was the impact to the balance sheet, or what was the impact in terms of numbers? Did that meet a certain KPI? Did that help to meet a certain customer need? Did that solve a customer problem forever if you're in a product organization? I want you to think of 3 such situations from your past life and write them down. The final stage, I want you to now think of what are the larger problems in the world that could be solved by the solutions that you have used in the past. Is there a pattern that is happening right now in the world and that you could address and you could solve? Now, to do that, there are a few AI tools that I'm going to help you with. And number one is this website. If you go there and you put in any question, it will give you a lot of research around those problems. See if the solutions, the core skills, your values, your beliefs that you hold to the beliefs, the values that you held to yourself for all this while, if that can solve this problem for the world. Once you have jotted them down, the next step is come back to your current role, come back to your current organization, and see if you can solve more problems thinking about the larger picture in mind. For example, if the problem with the world is a lot of distraction around media, and you have been someone who has helped your organizations or helped the employees over the last 20 years to bring back focus and attention and help them improve their productivity, can you think of a solution that can be sold to million people? It could be something that you used in your life that helped you solve the productivity challenges for your people and see if this can impact million lives. In today's world, it's very easy to impact a lot of people through social media. See if that could be a possibility for you. Now, over the next few months to few years, try practicing how you can resell your solutions in your own organization. Reach out to people whom you have never reached out to and offer them that you can do something that they have been struggling with for a very long time and see what comes out. I'm sure you're going to discover a complete new you, and that's exactly what is the similarities between those four people that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Henry Ford realized that there is a need for people to do transportation in a much faster and easier way. That's how he developed that mass production system of cars, and he made a fortune from it. Mr. Narayan Murthy, in his early stage, understood the need of creating IT solutions to solve larger problems for the world, and that's how Infosys was built. Similarly, Harlan Sanders figured out that the world needs food that is tasty as well as quickly available, and that's how KFC was born. Kiran Majumdar Shaw realized how important it is to save human lives and increase the lifespan over many multiple times in the last few decades. Would you want to be the fifth person? And would you want to make a difference in this world? Is the question I leave you with. If you like this content, do not forget to hit the like button and please share this in your WhatsApp group so more and more people can be saved and can find a new purpose in their life.